The NBA has had some incredible moments, and some interesting moments. Without social media, we wouldn't be able to remember most of the moments that put NBA fans in a frenzy for 24 to 48 hours at a time. Instead of focusing on real court instances where players make other players look foolish, these OMG moments are times where fans and the media stirred the pot and created rumors that weren't even close to being true. Here are some OMG moments in NBA history that stemmed from social media. Not many rappers can randomly hit the NBA scene with some crazy basketball curses. Over a decade, the bass god, who got so much praise from rappers like Kendrick Lamar and Chance the Rapper, started putting curses on NBA players who diss his music or steal his dance moves. Lil B takes basketball seriously. He actually tried out for the Santa Cruz Warriors, the D-League team connected to the Golden State Warriors. He's even lifted past curses on players like Kevin Durant and James Harden for the good of the league. And there are a few other rapper Twitter deities who talk about the NBA week after week on ESPN. Time sat down with Lil B about the bass god and the curses he used on the NBA. One of the first questions Time asked Lil B was why he curses NBA players. Why do you curse people? These curses might be very powerful, you know. He responded, "Thank you. I give it to the bass god, who really informs me and gives me that gut instinct and the power to say who's cursed or not. It just comes from a pure place. Just trying to bring peace and positivity and love and also awareness." The reporter responded, "So curses always come from a very positive place?" Lil B answered, "Yes." The most famous curse was the one Lil B gave to Kevin Durant in 2011 after he tore apart Lil B's music. Once Durant joined the Warriors, the curse was lifted and the Warriors won multiple titles. Lil B also lifted a curse on James Harden, who had stolen his dance move called the cooking dance. He explained his reasoning. Everything comes in time. The compromise of the curse was KD coming to the Warriors, which was a big turn of events. It was very exciting, so in words from the bass god, it was only right that the curse was lifted off Kevin Durant, and the year that it was lifted, he and they got a championship. Once James Harden's curse was lifted, there were no current players in the NBA who were cursed. However, the bass god recently cursed Kenyon Martin, who's a retired NBA player, for his comments about Jeremy Lin's decision to get dreadlocks. Hilariously, Kenyon Martin was temporarily cursed, but after Martin apologized to Jeremy Lin, the curse was lifted. Apparently, these curses were just sports related and very real, whatever that means. Of course, these curses weren't actually real, but Lil B was rather lucky that his curses lined up with what was actually happening in the NBA. Thanks to social media, he became a big hit for something he couldn't actually control. With the Warriors playing the Clippers in February of 2017, Draymond Green, who is known for his trash-talking and dissing ability, got Paul Pierce with a great line. Paul Pierce was retiring after the season, but he wasn't getting the respect that Kobe Bryant got. "Chasing that farewell tour. They don't love you like that. You can't get that farewell tour. They don't love you like that. You thought you was Kobe?" Green was talking about the fact that Pierce announced before the season this would be his last before retirement.
Live. Just under 6 remaining first half. And the pass deflected, but a foul is called. And Draymond Green irate.
Again, Green is often regarded as one of the best trash talkers in the league. The league makes it hard for us to hear what players are saying, or even what's going on the court. The XFL is the perfect example of being able to see what's going on the field. Somehow, microphones picked up this trash talk just about 50 seconds into the game. On the E60 that ESPN profiled on Green, Draymond talked about that very moment. "I'm not even preparing to say a word to Paul Pierce. Then he starts talking from the gate," Green says. "You're not Kobe." Pierce talked about the moment a few days after it happened as a guest on ESPN's NBA Countdown and didn't add more fuel to the fire. Draymond Green's trash talk game is about a 3. I've been around for a long time, the likes of Kevin Garnett obviously. I grew up watching Gary Payton, hearing him, so that's light. I couldn't even hear Green, Pierce said. "I'm trying to spark my team with the trash talk, go at their emotional leader and give my guys some confidence," and that's when you heard him say what he said. After a Rockets and Clippers game in 2018, there were rumors swirling around Twitter that a brawl took place in the tunnels of the stadium. Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted a photo of Paul Pierce with the caption, "Still putting on his shoes." He was basically saying that a lie can travel halfway around the world, while the truth is still putting on its shoes. His tweet came after Twitter had erupted from a potential post-game brawl that involved the Rockets and Clippers. Ultimately, only Trevor Ariza and Gerald Green were suspended, where they both received 2-game suspensions. Because this brawl spread quickly, there were many things that that reporters got wrong. Some people trusted the wrong sources and listened to the wrong people. First, Chris Paul and James Harden didn't start the brawl like originally thought. At first, some pointed out that this brawl could have been a conspiracy theory because neither of Houston's top players were suspended. They were getting ready for two major nationally televised games on TNT and ABC against the defending champions in the Warriors. Paul and Harden were actually peacekeepers. Both teams' players admitted this after 20 witnesses were interviewed. Kiki Vandeweghe said the Clippers agreed that Paul and Harden were peacemakers. Harden and Paul were good teammates, making sure their teammates didn't do anything regrettable or stupid. The suspension for Ariza and Green were pretty minimal after the fact. Part of the story was that leaked sources determined the commotion was caused by Trevor Ariza and Gerald Green getting into the Clippers locker room. This was already underway and prompted Tariq Black, not Clint Capella, to approach the Clippers front entrance before being turned away. At first, sources thought it was Capella. Kiki Vandeweghe, who handled disciplinary matters, said that there was security camera footage that confirmed it was Tariq Black. Furthermore, there was nothing crazy about his visit. He was walking by the locker room, heard a commotion, and was denied entrance by a Clippers team employee, and ultimately moved on without joining in any other way. Another thing that went wrong during this fake brawl was that sources said there was a secret passageway for the players to come in and brawl. This was false, although the jokes on Twitter never ended. There is a hallway that you can use to go from the Rockets locker room to the Clippers locker room, but it's not a secret. It's a hallway that's widely accessible to everyone. In fact, it was never even reported like that. People just ran with it without knowing the truth. There was a leaked source that said the Rockets players were clamoring for Blake Griffin too. Then they said that Chris Paul also entered with Rockets players through a backstory that connects team dressing rooms. Adrian Wojnarowski, an ESPN journalist, corrected his typo saying backstory and said that it should have said backdoor. Twitter was Twitter, and even when the typo was announced, tweeters didn't seem to care for the next 48 hours with the jokes. Before the game was finished, the Clippers and Rockets had a little fight on the court. There were two ejections, as Ariza tried to confront Rivers and Blake Griffin after the game. This became the league's newest intriguing rivalry. Paul spoke about his former teammates, Blake Griffin, and ripped him, saying that the Clippers should keep running their offense through go-to player Lou Williams. According to an ESPN report, the Rockets believe Griffin and Rivers shouldn't have gotten away with no suspensions, especially Griffin, who the Rockets said went out of his way to elbow D'Antoni on the sidelines. Of course, the NBA explained their judgment by saying that Griffin was in bounds when it happened, and it was negligible contact, even though Griffin was clearly out of bounds. At the time, there really was real bad blood between each team. After all, this whole fake brawl was a mix-up and mostly confusion. The media and fans lit the fire that didn't need to be lit. Of course, journalists wouldn't try to guess the intentions of Paul, Harden, Ariza, and Green, but the story wasn't good, however. There will always be misinformation out. The media messing up a story isn't new. When DeAndre Jordan broke his verbal agreement with the Mavericks to re-sign with the Clippers a few summers ago, Twitter went nuts. Reports were that Jordan was held hostage and Mark Cuban was never driving around Houston frantically calling him. We later learned that Mark Cuban had been to Jordan's Houston home a couple times, and that if he really wanted to bring Jordan back, he could have gone to Jordan again. It was reported that Jordan had signed a 4-year, $80 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks. About a week later, Jordan had a change of heart and decided he wanted to remain in Los Angeles. He withdrew from his Mavericks offer and signed an $87 million deal with the Clippers for the same 4 years. He made an extra $7 million, but Jordan had reports come out that he was having second thoughts about where he wanted to go. His Clippers teammates and coaching staff began tweeting out their plans to travel to Jordan's home in Texas to help convince him to stay. Once some of the Clippers arrived in Texas, photos of inside Jordan's home began to leak out on social media. There was a memorable photo posted by Blake Griffin of a chair blocking Jordan's exit from the room he was reportedly being held hostage in.
Here comes Chris Paul. The lob. The jam! Oh, what a monster jam by DeAndre Jordan!
The Clippers were just being extra cautious and wanted to surround Jordan so that fiery Mavericks owner Mark Cuban couldn't get through to him. They wanted Jordan to stay with the Clippers and wouldn't allow Mark Cuban to tell Jordan otherwise. DeAndre sat with GQ and talked about the entire scenario and how it unfolded. GQ asked, so what are the biggest misconceptions that people have about the famous hostage night where you changed your mind after agreeing to sign with Dallas and decided to return to the Clippers? Jordan responded, people think there was this huge excitement where things were crazy and I got tied up. Wait, that sounds weird. But seriously, it was quite boring to be honest. There wasn't a lot going on. We had a couple-hour conversation, then I said I was going back to the Clippers, and then I had to wait there until I signed my contract. But not much was going on. People took naps, we ate, we watched TV. It wasn't exciting at all. It was boring. I couldn't wait for Doc and Ballmer to leave my house so I could enjoy some alone time. I mean, my bosses were at my house all day. It's hard to have fun with your friends with your bosses around. We've heard some crazy stories about free agents. We've heard about how players are recruited to join teams or how athletes are treated by their own bosses. It's a business business, and players and athletes will always be treated like that. Jordan was given the opportunity to make a choice between two teams, and he chose the team that he felt he was more connected to. He would also receive a larger payday, and there was a real need for him on that team. Twitter and sources have made journalism tough within the last decade. What's said on Twitter you can hardly believe until multiple sources that are tightly connected to the individual confirm a report. We never thought Kobe Bryant had passed away. We didn't believe he was in a helicopter accident until legitimate sources confirmed what had happened. And even then, plenty of reporters and sources were completely wrong. These OMG moments happened due to social media's false reports.